On January 27th, 1984, the Jacksons gathered at Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles to begin filming a promotional Pepsi commercial for their upcoming Victory Tour that summer. The concept of the commercial was a rather simple one: to showcase the Jacksons performing a Pepsi rendition of Billie Jean in front of thousands of fans, with Michael's entrance being a dazzling one. The pyrotechnics were to go off right as Michael appeared at the top of the set of steps for a show stopping introduction. Except, 6 takes in, they still felt like they hadn't gotten the money shot. I'll let Jackson tell the story in his own words, courtesy of his 1988 autobiography, Moonwalk. I had planned to spend most of 1984 working on some movie ideas I had, but those plans got sidetracked. First, in January, I was burned on the set of a Pepsi commercial I was shooting with my brothers. The reason for the fire was stupidity, pure and simple. We were shooting at night, and I was supposed to come down a staircase with magnesium flash bombs going off on either side of me and just behind me. It seemed so simple. I was to walk down the stairs, and these bombs would blow up behind me. We did several takes that were wonderfully timed. The lightning effects from the bombs were great. Only later did I find out that these bombs were only 2 feet away from either side of my head, which was a total disregard of the safety regulations. Then Bob Giraldi, the director, came to me and said, "Michael, you're going down too early. We want to see you up there, up on the stairs. When the lights come on, we want to reveal that you're there, so wait." So I waited. The bombs went off on either side of my head, and the sparks set my hair on fire. I was dancing down this ramp and turning around, spinning, not knowing I was on fire. Suddenly, I felt my hands reflexively going to my head in an attempt to smother the flames. I fell down and just tried to shake the flames out. Germain turned around and saw me on the ground just after the explosions had gone off, and he thought I had been shot by someone in the crowd because we were shooting in front of a big audience. That's what it looked like to him. Miko Brando, who works for me, was the first person to reach me. After that, it was chaos. It was crazy. No film could properly capture the drama of what went on that night. The crowd was screaming. Someone shouted, "Get some ice!" There were frantic running sounds. People were yelling, "Oh no!" The emergency truck came up, and before they put me in, I saw the Pepsi executives huddled together in a corner looking terrified. I remember the medical people putting me on a cot, and the guys from Pepsi were so scared they couldn't even bring themselves to check on me. Once the fire was put out, Jackson was taken to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center and from there transported to Brotman Memorial Hospital Burn Center in Culver City, California. Upon arriving, Jackson was diagnosed with and treated for second-degree burns. Here's some more of what Jackson had to say about the accident in his autobiography. "Meanwhile, I was kind of detached, despite the terrible pain. I was watching all the drama unfold. Later, they told me I was in shock, but I remember enjoying the ride to the hospital because I never thought I'd ride in an ambulance with the sirens wailing. It was one of those things I had always wanted to do when I was growing up. When we got there, they told me there were news crews outside, so I asked for my glove. Later on, one of the doctors told me that it was a miracle I was alive. One of the firemen had mentioned that in most cases, your clothes catch on fire, in which case your whole face can be disfigured or you can die. That's it. I had third-degree burns in the back of my head that almost went through to my skull, so I had lots of problems with it, but I was very lucky. The doctor said that once the wound healed, there should be no scars. The surgeon used the laser to reconstruct a palm-sized burn on the back of Mr. Jackson's head. He said he was able to stitch the wound without having a transplant or implant hair from other parts of his head. Furthermore, it's been reported that Jackson was no longer able to grow hair in the impacted areas of his scalp after the respective burn and surgery, resulting in him having to wear hair pieces for the remainder of his life. Jackson was just 25 years old at the time, and he had to quickly come to terms with the fact that he could never again walk around freely wearing his own hair without a very large and noticeable bald spot. Cosmetic effects aside, what was even more devastating was the immense side effects in regards to his pain. Karen Fay, Jackson's longtime makeup artist, testified to some of these effects during the 2013 AEG trial that took place in the aftermath of Jackson's passing. As per the Los Angeles Times, Fay stated that aside from the daily scalp pain he experienced, Jackson was also suffering from intense migraines. And the procedures didn't stop with that first April 1984 operation. In fact, that was only the beginning. According to True Michael Jackson, one of Jackson's doctors named Arnold Klein detailed how Jackson's lupus prevented the wounds from ever healing properly. Klein said, "What happened is he used a great deal of what are called tissue expanders in his scalp, which are balloons that blow up the scalp. And then what they do is they try to cut out the scar. Well, because he had lupus, what happened is that every time they would do it, the bald spot would keep enlarging. So he went through a lot of painful procedures with these tissue expanders until I put a stop to it. I said no more tissue expanders because he had to wear a hat all the time and it was really painful for him. By 1993, almost a full decade after the Pepsi burn, Jackson's pain still had not gone away, resulting in him undergoing yet another painful scalp procedure. In November of that same year, Jackson announced publicly that he would be concluding the second leg of his Dangerous World Tour due to seeking treatment at a facility for a painkiller addiction. The initial combination of medications that he was given at the time of the burn was pretty powerful, with a history of causing dependency issues, and Michael ended up struggling with those issues the rest of his life. The hair pieces and extensions Jackson used for roughly 20 years after the accident were painful to install and keep in. Despite that pain, he continued wearing them to match the curls he had been wearing before for nearly 2 decades. I will end this segment on a positive note, though. Some of Jackson's time at Brockman Memorial Hospital Burn Center in 1984 was spent visiting and speaking with the other patients at the facility. Rather than suing Pepsi for the accident, Jackson instead had them donate $1.5 million to Brockman's Burn Center, which was renamed the Michael Jackson Burn Center by the facility as a gesture of gratitude. Here's what Jackson said about it in his autobiography. I still remember how scared those Pepsi executives looked the night of the fire. They thought that my getting burned would leave a bad taste in the mouth of every kid in America who drank Pepsi. They knew I could have sued them, and I could have. But I was real nice about it. Real nice. They gave me $1.5 million, which I immediately donated to the Michael Jackson Burn Center. I wanted to do something because I was so moved by the other burn patients I met while I was in the hospital.
I put a Pepsi in the motion, and that choice is up to you. Hey, you're the Pepsi generation. The thrill of